This video is for the lesson 6.8 homework. We are still factoring today. What I'm going to show you today, though, we're going to practice a little bit of slip and slide because that's the one we need to know. And then I'm going to show you how to do it by grouping. You'll only need to factor this way for this unit. We won't be factoring cubics any other time. So vocab number 1, what is the name of the highest degree of any of the terms in a polynomial expression? This is the degree of a polynomial. So quadratics, which is what we're going to be focusing on the next 2 units, these are a second degree polynomial. The highest exponent is a 2. And that's how we know it's a quadratic. Number 2 says, what is the name of the sum of the powers on the variables in a term? That's the degree of a term. So if I was looking at just 5x squared, that's a second degree term because the exponent is 2. 26x is a degree 1 term because the exponent's 1 there. Okay, so back to slip and slide. If there is a number in front of the x, I need to slip it to the end so I can factor it. So I'd have x squared plus 26x, and then I would do 5 times negative 24. 5 times negative 24 gives me negative 120. Okay, then I factor 120. So 1 times 120, 2 times 60, 3 times 40, 4 times 30, 5 times 24, 6 times 20. I don't think 7 will go into it. Don't think 8. Yeah, 8 will. So 8 times 15, 9 won't, 10 will. And that's the last one. All right. So plus and minus. So looking at the cheat sheet, plus and minus, I'm going to have x plus a number and x minus a number. And the biggest one is going to go with the plus sign. So x plus a number, x minus a number, big one goes here. So which set will either add or subtract to make a 26? These two, 30 and 4. If I do 30 minus 4, I get 26. The bigger one goes with the plus sign. And then remember, you can check these factors by adding them. You can do 30 plus the other factor, negative 4. 30 plus negative 4. And make sure you're getting what's in the middle. Okay. But I'm not done. So I'm just going to rewrite it because I've got junk underneath mine. I slipped this 5 to the end, so I have to undo that. Since I multiplied, to undo multiplication, I divide. And then I check. So 30 over 5, you can check it in your calculator, simplifies to a 6. X plus 6. 4 over 5 doesn't simplify. So I don't like fractions, so I take the bottom part of the fraction and I slide it in front of the x. So the 5 slides in front of the x, and then I keep the end part, minus 4. You need to be able to slip and slide. That's why we have done it for 4 days. Okay. So x plus 6. 5x minus 4. All right, so another slip and slide. 3x squared plus x minus 4. Oop, my bad. We don't want a number in front of the x, so we slip it to the back. X squared plus x. 3 times negative 4 is a negative 12. My factors are going to be x plus a number, x minus a number, the bigger one goes with the plus. Factors of 12. 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. So 2 that add or subtract to make x. 4 minus 3, not x, sorry, 1. Remember, there's an invisible 1 in front of that. 4 minus 3 gives me a 1. So those are my factors. The big one goes with the plus. But I'm not done. I slipped this 3, so I have to undo that. Divide by 3, divide by 3. 4 over 3 does not simplify. So I slide the 3 in front of the x. 3 over 3 simplifies to a 1, so I write x minus 1. If you've got something like, so like here's how I've got this here. If you've got something like this, x plus 2/4, right? If I simplify 2/4, 2 over 4, it simplifies to 1/2. This is the fraction that you want to slide the bottom. You want to make sure that you simplify that fraction before you slide it. This one, that's as simple as it got, so that's why I didn't have to do that. But if you type a fraction in it and it changes, write it down and then do your slide. Okay. So that's slip and slide. The new one today is grouping. So you can see here now how these are 3 terms, 3x squared, x minus 4. Now I have x cubed, x squared, x, and a number. You can group when you've got these 4 terms like this. So what we do is we literally just split it down the middle. I'm going to split it here and here. So I'm going to do 2x cubed minus 2x squared, x minus 1. What I want to do is I want to look at each group and see if there's a greatest common factor. Okay? So what do these 2 terms have in common? They have 2's, so they both have a 2. What else, though? They've got x's. Another way you can look at this, so 2x cubed, 2 times x cubed is x times x times x. 2x squared is 2 times x times x. You can factor, draw out each piece and kind of find your partnerships. So they've got a 2 in common. They've got an x in common. They've got another x in common. So what I can do is I can pull a 2 and then a set of x's and a set of x's. I can pull x squared out of it. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm factoring that out. So 2x cubed divided by 2x squared. That's what I'm doing first. Everything cancels but a single x, so I'm left with an x. And then I do the same thing here. 2x squared divided by 2x squared. I'm just left with a 1. Okay. Is there anything in common between x and negative 1?
Yes, they're both 1. Or one's normal left.
You're right. You're right. There's a 1 in front of this, right?
Yes.
So I could, in essence, I could write it like this. It doesn't change it, right? Multiplying by 1 doesn't change anything. But that's what I want to do because I want to find a pair like this. Okay? This pair, that's one of my factors. X minus 1. My other factor are the pieces that I pulled out. 2x squared, and then that plus 1. Those are my 2 factors of this polynomial. And if I go back and I FOIL this, that's the answer I'll get. So x minus 1, 2x squared plus 1. We're going to practice a little bit because you've never seen anything like this. I understand that it's kind of real fresh to your eyes. All right. So we're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to split it. 4x cubed minus 2x squared. And then I'm going to group that. See that minus 6x? I'm going to group that and make it a negative 6x. Okay? I don't want to leave a minus sign in the middle here. So any subtraction problem, 2 minus 3, I can make it addition. 2 plus a negative 3. So that's what I did here. I just put a plus sign in front of that subtraction so I could group, make it a negative. Okay. So start a piece at a time. So let's look at 4 and 2. What's a common factor between 4 and 2? 2, right? So I can divide this by 2, and I can divide this by 2. Okay. X cubed and x squared. Always go with the smaller exponent. X squared, I can divide this by x squared, which means I can divide this by x squared. As long as the exponent's bigger, you can divide it by a smaller exponent. So here's what I'm pulling out, these two pieces. 2x squared is getting pulled out. And now I can kind of factor them out. So 4 divided by 2 is a 2. X cubed divided by x squared, remember in situations like this, you can write it out, expand it. So these cancel, I'm just left with an x. And then in this case, these 2's cancel out. These x squareds cancel out. So I just write that as a 1. If everything cancels out, you write it as a 1. You need a placeholder there. It doesn't just vanish. It doesn't become a 0. All right? 6 and 3, what do those have in common? A 3, okay. Here's what I want to do though. I don't want to leave a negative here. So how would I get rid of that negative? I can switch all the signs, right? So what I'm going to do, instead of, you know how I divided by a 2 over here, but we said 3 was the common factor? I'm going to divide these by a negative 3. So I can get rid of that negative at the same time. Now, since this one doesn't have an x, there's nothing I can do with that x. All I can do is just reduce by that 3. So I would have a negative 3 on the outside. Negative 6 divided by negative 3 is a positive 2. Got to keep the x. Positive 3 divided by negative 3 is a negative 1. And what we have, and again, this is what we're looking for. We're looking for this common, this thing in common, that 2x minus 1. Because in the end, that's one of my factors. And then the two pieces that I factored out, I just smush them together. And that becomes my other factor. X squared. I'm only going to leave one of these for you to do on your own. So we're going to work number 8 together as well. Okay. So I'm going to split it down the middle. 6x cubed minus 2x squared. And then I've got 3x minus 1. All right, so look at just the numbers. What's the common factor between 6 and 2? 2. So I can divide each of those by 2. Here's my smallest exponent, x squared. So that means I can divide this by x squared and this by x squared. So here's what I'm going to pull out, what's going to get pulled out to the outside. 2x squared. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And then x cubed divided by x squared. This and this cancel, this and this cancel. Left with just an x. And then these 2's cancel and the x squareds cancel. But remember, if everything cancels, it cancels to a 1. All right, is there anything in common if we look at just the numbers between 3 and 1? A 1, that's it. So we're going to put a 1 on the outside. 3 divided by 1 is a 3. Keep the x. Negative 1 divided by 1. It doesn't change anything. But we've got our match. Okay? So our match, that's one factor. What number is that? 8. So 3x minus 1. And then what's on the outside? 2x squared and a positive 1. 2x squared, positive 1 is my other factor. So that leaves 1. There's only one that's that grouping method that you have to do. The other two up here slip and slide. Okay? We have got